Elite Motivation brings you EM Healing, a space to create the conversation, to open up places within ourselves that we've never had conversations about. Season 4 invites you to listen in on our multi co-host lineup to open up the conversation with myself, Mahatma Starseed.
I'm just I'm just so impressed. I'm so impressed with like the energy that gets to come towards me and like freely and willingly and in alignment.
So far, Season 4 has welcomed co-host Sierra Weatherington on our special edition about domestic violence.
The rekindling. Sometimes the rekindling doesn't mean like, oh, we're great now. We talked it
Mhm.
out. We'll be friends again, or we'll get back together. And that's not the case.
Jim D. Weaver, all about diving into our triggers.
37 years now. I was meditating and I was really attached to the state of bliss. I really thought meditation was about being in bliss, and I was very attached to it.
Barbara with conflict resolution.
Clues that, okay, this is my lesson here. When I'm triggered, here's my lesson. And so we take a look at what we're seeing out there. What is that very thing that's triggering us?
Susanna Stokes, healing the warrior within.
Was the realization that I had was that like we gotta stop fighting.
Yeah.
And war, like one mantra that just kept coming through was war doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah.
work the way we thought it would. It doesn't, it hasn't been working. Maybe it did for, a couple thousand years at the very beginning, but now
And Gail Lynn, the power of self-healing.
Rubbing it on the leg that was the most paralyzed. One she could kind of move, the other one she couldn't feel or move. And I thought, this is strange. And I'm thinking, is she going to bite her? Like,
This upcoming episode, we have returning co-host Susanna Stokes. It's time to heal our warrior spirit, and Suzanne Colbert, healing with our busy schedule. Peace and light. This is Mahatma Starseed. You are tuning in for another dynamic episode. We are in season 4, and this is the season for just keeping it real, keeping it honest, and exploding into our healing modalities. So I have 2 co-hosts with me today. I'm going to jump into their introductions in a moment. But I do want to say, first of all, I really appreciate everybody that's listening to the videos and getting something out of this for their healing journey. It's really important for us to be able to find a way to add in these little doses of being a little bit more intentional in our everyday life so that we can have more fun. This is what we're doing it for. We're here to have fun. Sometimes it sounds a lot of serious, but overall, this should be something that's for you, not against you, and allow there to be light in all of the darkness and the confusion of healing. This is what we're here for. So I'm gonna let my ladies take a moment, introduce themselves. Teresa, I'm gonna let you come up first. Please share.
Hi, my name is Teresa. Previous co-host guest. You can see the episode once it's linked. I believe it's healing the story of our conversation from Connecticut, and I'm here with Mahatma and Deja.
Thank you, thank you. Take it away, Deja.
Hi, I'm Dave, also known as Day. I am a returning co-host for the episode Bonding with Progress on Muhammad's podcast, EM Healing. I am a part of the Safe Space board members as the Safe Space executive director. I'm also looking to kind of look toward the unfoldments of my life and whatnot so that I can highlight other gifts to be able to share with the collective. So stay tuned for a podcast that I'm also creating as well. So, yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Yay! We're gonna get you to talk some about that podcast while we're in this beautiful conversation because that was on my mind today. I was like, yes, we need to get this going. And so we're just gonna jump into this wonderful conversation that we have on an everyday basis. However, we don't always share, and it's important to share. It's important to open up. And yes, these are the ladies that are a part of the safe space community that we have been developing and finding grounding so that we can invite more people to find a safe space for themselves in an everyday fashion. It's really rewarding. It's really fun. It's even more fun for me to have these wonderful ladies come on here and share space and share their more forward conversation because we all here, we love to have a forward conversation. Is it easy? It's not always easy. It's like pretty difficult sometimes. And a lot of the conversations that we've both had were definitely about the transformational experience of our everyday lives. And one of the things that I like about having different individuals come onto this platform is that, you know, expertise shows up very different ways. And yes, how it's great to have people that have like years of experience of finding different modalities to help other people heal. But it's also very important for us to hear the people that are healing and finding the ownership through the guidance that they're getting throughout this time. So, like, let's just start there because, you know, what made y'all want to start creating like progress in your journey? Did it feel like it was slow? Did it feel like it was lacking? Did it feel like it was missing?
I felt it was just unfolding step by step. It started slowly and it's just progressed and expanded from there. I always try to give myself some grace and not push the uh, the growth, but yeah, it's been there little by little. Um, when you remove the fog of doubt and excuses, it becomes very clear, and then you just start the steps little by little. It started slowly with me, but yeah.
For me, I'm a bit different. I've kind of always wanted to be very progressive in my everyday life. Being surrounded, like growing up, being surrounded by others who kind of shied away from that honesty and for sitting in like truth. I kind of wanted to really just throw myself into that space um, because I feel like progression is very important. I feel like no one is supposed to stay the same. We're supposed to evolve, and I kind of rooted myself in that at a very young age. So yeah.
I love evolving. I freaking love it. You know, before I started mm, being in that like specific part of my journey, I remember my partner at that time, like they felt that urgency and stuff like that. However, like where I was at, I was still living that 3D life free of the understanding. And I'm like, I'm going to take all of this 3D stuff in. And until I have to really like be full stream, I'm soaking this in. I'm gonna relax. I'm not overthinking things, and I'm not going to come out of this like comfortability that I have because I know it's about to perish. Like it's perishing as we freaking speak. And like now being here, I'm like, yeah, I'm so happy that I was like, it's like those like 10 minutes before they're about to close the pool and you're like, let me just jump in. let me just jump in for a couple of minutes and then I'll get out. I know that it's about to close. Like, I get it. I saw the sign before I walked in. I knew. And I definitely know I wasn't really realizing that I was already in it. So it felt like I think I took like 15 extra minutes. I was one of those people that you're like, all right, you can leave because your 10 minutes just now turned into 20 and it like you're not even out of the pool yet. And that's when it really dawned on me for seeing how to be like more progressive. But I didn't give myself grace. I didn't give myself grace. I because of like my excitement. I have like an uber amount of excitement. It's We were just talking about that before we got on this call, and I was telling her, I was like, I am so like kind. I look to be kind. However, I'm realizing I'm not nice. Like, I'm not a nice person. And there's a big difference. I know how to be nice and I can give niceness out, but niceness isn't something that's just gonna like fall out of me. What has been something that you realized about yourself that you thought you were, or people have made you feel like you were?
Oh, like in the past, emotional, possibly difficult to have conversations with. Um, yeah, those are the two. Those are two big ones I can think of.
Wow. For me, obviously I realized they were lies, but um, for me, it was that I didn't care enough about the unfoldment in others' lives. Um, and what was something else that was big? I was too excited about life. I think those were two of the biggest things that were probably the most triggering, honestly. So yeah, those were the two biggest things for me.
What do you like? What took y'all to realize that? Like, when you're like, I'm not. That's you know what? That's not really me.
Well, in this journey, you kind of learn that your thoughts are not your own, and you kind of learn what's not you. And in that journey, you learn your authentic self, and you learn to change your story. You learn to grow and sculpt your own sculpture, in essence. Um, what helped me, if you listen to my previous journey, is I took 1 hour during the gym to love myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I took that hour for me, and then from there it grew. So again, it's small, and then it grew to my whole world. So that's what started intentionally changing my world and expanding it.
Um, I feel like a lot of um, I guess like in your earlier stages, right? You're more so like a sponge um, to your environment until a certain point where you kind of like start setting those boundaries. Okay, well, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I think there was a lot of internalizations that I was internalizing from projections of others, which were the two lies that I was speaking on. And I feel like once I started playing basketball, that was a huge outlet for the anger that I was feeling, from feeling suffocated from those internalizations. And once I was able to work through that, I was able to spend a little bit more time when it came to my mind, and what I've actually felt about myself, which was truly not what was being projected. So I feel like I always knew who I was. I just needed the space to be able to go through the reps, to be able to show myself that I know who I am and that that wasn't it. So.
Very similar. I hear very similar, action steps and showing that importance of having that space for me. And it's going to look different for everyone, right? Is even in these examples of what we're sharing, it looks different for all of us. So the most important thing that, for me that I'm learning that has came forward for me, I'm very particular about where I put my energy. I understand on an even fuller scale of how sensitive I am, and sensitive like energetically, not emotionally. I can feel so much. Like even like before coming into this recording, like I can feel the unfoldment of like our paradigms and how the people in your paradigm feel about us showing up to this session. That is how much on a full scale that I can feel things. It's something that I'm learning to balance because like I have to deal with even more thoughts that are not mine on top of the program thoughts that are on my head, and sometimes it's just like get away. And I'm realizing like that's why I love nature. That because it is so free of constriction because nature unapologetically dies and revitalizes itself on its own. No one has to tell nature like, "Hey, it's time to change your colors." Literally. But we get, talk bad about like, oh, you've changed your colors. Like, are we not supposed to change? Are we not supposed to be in unison with everything that does happen here? Because time changes, even socially. I've been seeing like these reels where they're talking junk about us. What are we, the millennials? And you're Gen Z, right?
I'm Gen X.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
I'm the baby Gen X, though. I'm the last of the
Right, right.
last
So
crew.
how come we didn't get to be like Gen Y? Why? Because that's what we should be. It's the whole generation. Why? Just why? So, okay, so one of the things that they're making fun of us right now for is doing this. Really don't do the peace sign anymore. So, do you think that like I see you doing the peace sign, Deja?
Togetherness.
Together. And so like, does this count?
Look, I don't care at this point because I'm gonna do whatever I want with my hands. Like
Right.
we don't
I
care
do
about.
I do this, and apparently in like a tradition somewhere, it's like warding off evil.
Mm.
And so I'm like, yeah, go
Yeah,
away.
yeah, meaning for that. Sure.
Which makes sense because like the mudras, the energies, that's another thing that I've learned how to keep energy inside of you. Mudras are how you keep energy inside of you. It's how you regenerate yourself. And that's why like a lot of times when I'm having certain conversations, like if you're sitting in a like in the room with me, you're most likely going to see me doing this or this. And that's like my way of like keeping my energy inside because like I said, I feel so much. And I'm like, let's just feel this energy like here. And I know it's something that has never been given to us. It's pretty crazy how much conversations aren't moving forward. And that was another thing I wanted to like add. Have y'all realized that have you realized that is how people stop the conversation and don't allow it to be forward? And
What?
like so that's their dead stop when people are like, oh, like you're just too excited about this or you're too difficult.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think that when somebody projects onto you, in that way, that's them meeting a block within themselves that they haven't been able to break past, for sure.
What does it look like for you to like move that part of the conversation forward? Do you see it moving forward for you on its own yet, or do you see still like that manual input happening? Hopefully that resonates in the fashion it needs to.
I feel like I still have to put a little bit of that manual input, but I feel like as I learn more and more about moving the conversation, letting the conversation flow without resistance, more there's less of that manual need. I get less of, oh, I don't want to talk about it. There's more understanding, or at least my urge to continue the conversation isn't as strong as the intention of, okay, this is what I need out of this conversation, and then just being satisfied with neutral or better.
I like that. Oh, I think it's different depending on who you're speaking to, depending on like their capacity or not. There's you there are some people where you have to manually like put in those little nuggets, little crumbs, sprinkle some crumbs or whatever for them to, catch on to later on when they have the space to. Or there's people that you can have a conversation with to a certain extent, um, with beginning the movement of the conversation. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's like it just depends. It just depends on who you're speaking to, honestly. I know currently for me, there have been movements in conversation, um, when it comes to my personal ones, in my paradigm, because I learned. Also, this is another part you have to do. You have to learn when to take a step back and when to allow people to, go at their own pace with, the unfoldments and the realizations and whatnot, that they have to go through to meet you, or you meet them and at where they're at or whatever. But that now they're able to, what's it called, um, express exactly where they're at in a more of a clear way, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, I know for right now, and I'm very grateful that conversations are definitely moving forward. I just need to be able to give people space, and not always have to like push and teach. Hey, it's this. This is what we're talking about, and letting them say, okay, this is where I was coming from in this, and I understand what you were saying, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Just give me
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah, because like when you're at a place where you're more cognizant, you're more clear, and if when we feel like someone is unclear, it's so important for us to like plug in. Uh, I I guess the best example is like air ducts. Like, let's get some air in here. This is pretty stuffy situation.
Yeah.
uh, like so for like me, once I see someone is like attempting to project like a reality of who I am to them, or just like blatantly what they're experiencing, I greatly will either do one of two things. One thing I will do is I will say for you, which is like a new trending thing now. That sounds good for you. And then the other thing is like I just don't engage with the conversation that they're trying to have. I engage with like what they're really saying. And that has been something that I've had for a while. And I remember when I was on my demystifying awareness tour and we were talking to this lady in the supermarket, and she was telling me about like her son going to college and how she's like adjusting to the house not being there, like with him not being there and moving things around. And I ended up talking and responding back about her empty nest syndrome, right? I think they say call it syndrome, but empty nest. And she started to respond for me from there, and my partner was like what made you say that instead of like responding to what her son was doing or not doing? And I'm like, because that's not what she was really talking about. She was choosing to say those words because people don't think they're allowed to say the things that they're most vulnerable. But we're allowed to say what someone else is doing. Wild.
Yo.
You can listen to me talk shit about Jane, but if I try to talk shit about me, let's not talk about that right now. Girl, let's get a drink. Let's let it go. Can we really let go of our feelings that we haven't expressed yet?
Absolutely not. No, I'm serious. I personally, I cannot sit in anyone's like stuck energy, not even my own. I have to like when it comes to like me personally, like I have to figure it out. I have to like get it out. I have to um process through it, something. Like I can't just sit in it, and I don't appreciate when others kind of, I don't know, they kind of indirectly ask you to sit in their stuck energy. And I think that we should practice how to say it? Either we should practice more openness and more vulnerability in conversations, or practicing like the discernment to be able to speak on things with the people that we want to speak on certain things for. Because for me, I find myself in this position like a lot, or I have been like previously or in the past, where somebody's bringing a conversation to me that they want to move forward, and I'm turning up as Mahatma, like saying like, hey, this is what we're really speaking to, and I'm not really responding to the cycle that they're used to, like, covering over the vulnerability that they're looking to express. And that, I don't know, for me, I sit so authentically in myself. It's just sometimes frustrating when others kind of ask me not to stand in that, and to, oh, just for a moment or just for a second in my stuck energy, please don't be yourself, don't be honest, don't be transformative, don't be, that clarity. But it's like, it's either you're going to ask for clarity or you're not. And I feel like we should be a little bit more mindful of that and what we're really asking as well. I think that will really help how people move their conversations forward, and also not putting oneself in a position to be forced to move a conversation forward that they're not ready to move in. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the toughest part, like getting people to not allow them to force us and for us to not force them, which is uberly difficult, right? Uberly difficult. Mostly because a lot of us think that this action step has to happen at time of experience. However, it's like going grocery shopping when you're hungry. How's that going to turn out? Most people end up spending more money than they actually anticipated, and they purchase the wrong things for their nutrition.
Right.
So, how's that going to look in a conversation? And that's where a lot of people in the spiritual community really get it wrong, because they think that they can pick it up whenever they want and put it down whenever they want. And it's an embodiment. It's not an add-on. This is not an add-on feature during this journey of self-awakening, of spiritual understanding, of cognitive consciousness. Cognitive consciousness. Bringing them together. It is together. It is not adjacent to the situation. Like it's not something you're gonna pick up in the situation. It's something that you're gonna bring along into the situation. And that forward progress has to happen in the conversation that we have with ourselves. Most importantly, the choices that we make, because that's where the difference gets to come in. How quickly are we able to provide ourselves with clarity so that we're less likely to judge someone else's lack of clarity, which is really still difficult because a lot of us are learning. A lot of us are learning with people that haven't been spiritually growing, but say they have. However, they've been adding it for situational experiences versus embodying it so that it could just be a part of their experience. There's a big difference between manual and automatic. And if you want to be manual, that's okay. However, let some people know that you're dealing with, like, let them know that you're taking it uh, a more, because manual means you haven't like indoctrinated it. It's not a part of you, and you still got to keep picking it up. And that means like you're a baby, basically. And there's no judgment. First of all, everything we're saying is not a place from judgment. We're saying it from a place of observation and understanding. And that's the big difference between being in judgment and assumption. The more we assume, the more we make an ass out of you and me. This has been a statement that we have known for so long. However, people have been using it now for the common sense. And so like some people ask me like, "Hey, if X, Y, and Z did this, what would you do if they were in your shoe, if you were in their shoes?" And I'd be like, "I don't know because I don't do typical people stuff.
I don't do X, Y, and Z.
I do F and B and J." So don't ask me because I will not follow your programming acceptance. So it's easier that way to just follow yourself, you know, and I find like a lot of reward from following myself. What can be what can be the most important thing that you experience when you don't see yourself following yourself? But like what's like the most important thing you realize or anticipate? Like, oh, I just like fell off my rocker, X, Y, and Z is gonna happen next.
I feel very imbalanced. I don't feel like myself. I get flustered a lot if that happens. And a lot of things seem foggy. I guess there's less clarity for me.
Do you have like a plan of action per se that's like a recovery kit?
Oh, it's always meditation has always been a tool that's helped me ground. So I go back to my meditation. That's when I know that I'm balanced, when I forget to meditate. So I get right back on my regimen of meditation, writing in my notebook, going to the gym, just being consistent with the things that help me be balanced, you know, spending time in a safe space, like those things, spending time for myself, self-care, um, getting some sleep, um, taking walks, going to the beach is one of my favorite things to do to ground myself, is going on the beach. That really centers me. So yeah.
We love the beach.
The beach.
Take me to the jungle.
Ooh, I definitely want to experience the jungle. I just want to make sure I have everything I need before.
Just make sure you bring the deep spray for the deep woods. You'll be fine.
I just feel like I'm gonna need way more than that.
When I go to the beach, I bring the camper. Okay, I bring the tent. I'm all set up. So when I'm going to the jungle, we'll be set up. Don't you worry.
I would bring a magical like bag that I can put like so many things. That's my ideal thing to bring. I want to make sure I have everything.
You know what
Yeah.
I've learned that helps the bugs stay away? Incense. And they last for about an hour.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
Boop, boop. And I have little tiki torches. They're the mini ones. They're like this. They're like this big.
Definitely need a source of light for
I got three
sure.
of them. Listen, you don't know how real light is until you ain't got it,
Yeah.
especially in these woods, because the trees block the sky, and people might think the sky is dark, but it's not.
Look, I don't know about y'all and what jungle y'all talking about, but I definitely will be going to one that is similar to Avatar. So that's where I'm okay. All this
With the tall
darkness,
trees.
I want no.
She wants beautiful glowing trees, the flowers.
Pretty much.
Put your hair around the tree. Yep.
I want the celestial vibes, like all of that for sure. I want. Oh, sorry. Back on topic. um, I guess we were talking about when when we don't listen to ourselves, I believe, right? Okay. Um, when I realized I didn't listen to like what I truly like resonate with, I get very quiet. On the outside at least, my mind like blares so many in so many directions. Um, and I tend to overthink my next steps, like when I'm being asked again to make a choice, for sure. I think that my plan of action that I usually do that really works best for me is going outside. I can't sit inside, or it'll, like, I don't know. It doesn't matter if I'm working out inside. It doesn't matter if I just can't be inside. I have to be outside because, like, maybe it's because I'm air sign. I don't know. But I need that like air. I need that flow. So I usually do gratitude walks just to start off be simple. Just to kind of trick my toxic ego or my mind into surrendering back to my meditative state. Um, so that's what I do. And what else? Yeah, I think that's my meditative state for me because I'm not someone I can sit on a yoga mat and meditate for sure, but my meditation is like a meditative flow. Like I need to be in flow. I like moving around. I can be one with myself and doing multiple different other things. So I guess that's why the gratitude walks help resonate with me more so. Um, and also going to a park with greenery. Like I love going to the park, laying on the grass and like looking up. I like looking at I think this is the only way you should be looking at trees, but like looking up through the trees from the bottom up, I feel like that just resets me like completely. It's beautiful. You can like, I don't know, it just gives this opening to my mind when I'm feeling suffocated and feeling like my mind is just capped. I don't know, it just opens it up completely when I'm looking up through trees. Yeah, that's my thing.
I love the trees. I love like perfect just covering of trees, and they create like this beautiful just air of wind, you know? But when you're in the forest and there's thousands of trees right next to each other, it gets dark. It gets dark real quick. So putting in some lights into those trees for the nighttime, and you got me sold.
Love that.
No lights. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I tried to go into a forest because I love like that's like my sanctuary, being next to streams. I am learning that I like being around streams more than I really like the ocean. I love the sound of the ocean, especially early in the morning. However, streams, they just trickle like so much energy out of me, and I feel like because the ocean is like it's like one big wave and then one big back, and for me it's not enough, right? Like I need several combs. And so streams are just like consistently like, and you can know it's consistent because when you see rocks that are in that sediment, like you can see the water literally bending the rocks to shape the desire of the water. people don't realize how powerful water is. It can kill us and it can keep us alive.
Oh, I also want to say one more thing too. Well, after like giving sounds to what you said, I can definitely attest to that. Because streams are like so much more, it's so much more flow going on, that you can't really see and you can hear too. I think like when it comes to beaches and oceans, I usually go there when it's like a heavy emotional thing because I feel like oceans, it's like the emotions sit there
It takes it.
and they're like, it like, it's heavier. It's a heavier energy for sure. So love oceans, obviously, for real, yes. Dreams as well. I also do want to say, one of the other things that I do definitely go to is views because it makes whatever you're going through seems that much smaller. And what I like to do is I like to, if I'm looking out at a view and there's mountains and whatnot, and the sun's there or whatnot, I'll imagine myself as either the sky or the mountains. And it's like, it, like, when you look at views, it's just sitting in its being. And that kind of like when I resonate with that, it takes away all of that judgment that we really like to attach to when we feel like we've done something wrong, especially in the sense of not listening to yourself. That's a huge judgment that people do put on themselves. So I do want to like, I wanted to say that, and give that kind of like tool because it definitely helps for sure the overthinking and that stuckness when you're sitting in your being. So
Finding somewhere to release like is essential. Breath, like for me, I always tell people like just take a breath if you're looking for something new, especially when you can't get out. Like beach is not 10 minutes away. The forest looks sketchy right now because the sun done set. And I need to get myself appropriated. Maybe I live in a concrete jungle and it takes a lot to get through. I know because like for me, I lived in a suburban area, which I absolutely was not like famished for. And I quickly learned how important it was to identify where you want to physically live, like where you want to reside, your home. That was a big eye opener for me when I went through my concussion experience, mainly because in order for me to get to a park where it was some greenery, I would have to walk through all of the dense energy. And it would be a lot for me. And so it would be like this whole toll just to get to the park where the trees were at.
right.
And I don't even live in a concrete jungle. It's like semi. So I can only imagine. We can't get too far. Take a breath.
Or open a window too. If you can't get to trees and you can't hear the rustling of the wind from, nature, like open a window. That's the most simplest thing you can do. I know that when I was staying in a space that was very suffocating and the surroundings were it just wasn't very healthy. I started open, yeah. I started opening windows at a certain time of day, when I knew the wind was like really blowing. I started doing that. And it really helped me listen to the flow of what I was trying to resonate with, and start to attach to again. Because it helped me feel like, okay, I'm hearing the wind move. I'm hearing the trees move. I can move past this moment as well. So that's something so simple. Open the window.
I keep my window open all the time.
I got a window open right now.
How about you, Teresa? Do you need the windows open?
Yeah, I had when I was in my other house, It was very constricting. But I did sit by. So when I would meditate, I would sit by the window, and you would feel the wind, like she said, and the birds would sing, and the trees would flow. So yeah, you always can find even that confined space, that zen. I used to do that as well. I still do it.
I feel like the birds get louder when you start to meditate.
They were very loud, yeah, but in a nice way, musical way.
Yeah, like Everescent.
Remember that rooster?
On point. On point. In our whole conversation, he's like, wait, hold up. Let me get in there.
Let me get confirmation.
There's so many things I could say, but I'm gonna keep my comments.
That was my singing bird, but he was so admirable. Because no matter what, no matter how he sounded, he definitely crowed.
Yes. How does it feel not waking up to him anymore? Do you feel like you abandoned his sounds?
I think he definitely helped me get back onto my morning flow, because I wake up naturally now back into like the early like 3 in the morning, and then I'll go back to sleep, wake up again at like 5, and then I start my day. So I think subconsciously I was starting to use that and resonate with it, because I look for anything to grasp onto where I was at. So yeah.
It's important. It's so important. Animals are great indicators for the energy around us. I really appreciate it. So I was wondering, do y'all have any questions for me about forward progress in our conversations before we start turning this episode into the ending portion?
What's been the biggest challenge for you as far as continuing the conversation and progressing it? Because there's a continuing and progressing. That's what I struggle with sometimes, is
Continuing it or progressing?
progressing.
Progressing the conversation?
Yes.
The best thing that I do is I look for outreach. I look for support. I look for that's what we have the safe space for, essentially. If I didn't have the beings in the safe space, I would probably be in a nut house somewhere, or I'd be in jail. I doubt I'd be in jail because I would enjoy it too much. So I'm not gonna put me there.
That's nice.
Oh, you gonna give me alone time? What? I don't think they would. They would probably like make me go home. So,
For real.
I would definitely like be in the nut house and they'd like have me completely like drugged up or something like that. Yeah. Because a lot of people in my life, they definitely didn't really they didn't really want to see a way, like especially for my upbringing. A lot of people were like, I just deal with it, and this is how you grow, this is how you're going to get somewhere. And I was very hesitant. I was like, are you sure this is what I have to do? Are you sure? Like, I feel like I don't want to do this. I feel like this is not really, it's not giving enough for my spirit to be excited for this, and my spirit loves everything. And so if my spirit isn't loving this right now, I'm just really in a questionable place, because it's really difficult for my spirit to not want to do something. And so now I know I can identify it a little bit more about what it is that my spirit's pulling towards, because before I had balance in my conversation, I used to just say no to everything. Like Anything that dropped below this meter got an automatic no, which is something a lot of us do because we just don't want to deal with the backlash of making the wrong choice. So to be able to progress, I had to get real about what I believed. I had to get real about what I believe. If I really believe the world is infinite, if I really believe my story is based upon my experience and my perception, I really have to take that into account and accept that other people have their own perception, other people have their own experience. This is how I'm able to progress the conversation. As far as continuing the conversation, for me, it's a lot about care. It's a lot about care for what you're experiencing. Yes, we should care about other people. However, real care and real thoughtfulness doesn't start outwardly, it starts inwardly. And so I had to care enough. I had to care enough about how my body felt. That's how I'm able to continue the conversation. If my body feels stuckness, I need to do something. Whether it's immediate action, indirect action, or processing or transmuting it to be able to hear it better, I'm going to do that. Another thing that helps me, because the job that I work at, I'm sitting in a window all day, right? And I'm cool, calm, collected. I'm chilling. I'm next to my team member. You know, we talking about the cases that we have to answer, and someone comes up irate. My tickets ain't working. Da 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 da. And I'm like, how can I help you today? And they'll go into it, and when I have to tell them no for something, and they're like, today someone told me I was robbing them, and have a nice day. I'm not going to continue the conversation they have. This is another way to continue the conversation. My conversation is I'm just here to be the footprint of the policy. It's not my rules. I know how to help you get through the rules, but I cannot break the rules. And accepting that helps me to continue the conversation and not embodying like, oh, I got to deal with these customer complaints and they're not going to like me. Why does it matter? They're not going to pay. They're not going to pay you. They're not sending you your paycheck. They send in the company that you work for their paycheck. So if they really got a problem, they need to talk to the person they gave their money to. You didn't give me the money. If you did, we'd be having a different conversation. And I have to understand I'm not Mahatma all day to everyone. And I get to still be Mahatma in my moments because I'm not turning that off. This is an embodiment. And so the more I continue to have that conversation with myself, I'm embodying. It's like, this is my form of continuing the conversation. Progress happens with productivity. And productivity happens before usage. And people often ask you, like, oh, you want to be a doctor? Well, what have you been productive with to become a doctor? What have you produced for you to utilize this skill? And again, progress has been often confused with presence. And you showing up in your presence is not progress. You were birthed into this body. Every day you get to wake up, you showed up. So you're not doing anything special. And to help myself hear that conversation, to find ways to be more open is how I can create progress in my life. Whether it's more open with myself about where am I at, what am I doing, what do I need to balance, or just being more open to other people's reality. I've been like, I'll do research, and I'll say I like to research relationships a lot, because relationships is what a majority of us care about. We'll quit our job quicker than we try to quit a relationship. Can I get an amen? And it's interesting because this TikTok or this reel or whatever was shown to me about this Muslim woman. Muslim women put us to shame a lot with their beliefs. Now, the whole sequence may not necessarily be idealistic. However, the belief of how you should treat your partner is very realistic. And so what she was saying, I'm not sure if it was sent into our group or if somebody just sent it to me individually. What she was saying was, you'll sit there and work at a job all day and say yes, sir, to your boss, but have a problem listening to your partner when you get home.
Mm. Mm.
What does that make you think about?
Well, this is not specifically like, well, I guess it is a relationship. It's not necessarily a romantic one. It's a family relationship. And there was a statement that was expressed to me that this person acted like you should when it comes to respecting someone else at work, and that their reputation was like you kind of like unblemished, but it was coming from a person who did the exact opposite when they stepped foot at home, against all of the other relationships that they were in. So I was saying because it's just like, please make it make sense. Honestly, I feel like we have to start shifting that care, as if you are showing up for a job and you do want to progress in a way where it's like, your reputation is of high value. I feel like that shouldn't be turned off as soon as you get around the people who really know you and who you feel comfortable being like yourself around, that doesn't give you an excuse to project all of your garbage.
Or unexpressed desires.
Unexpressed desires, fine, we can use that.
It's both. It's
It
both.
is.
It's,
It is.
it's both.
Unexpressed desires, to the people who can actually have that front and center like ability to be able to create that with you, and quicker at that point, at that certain extent. But yeah, I just feel like that whole thing just triggered me because I'm just like, yo, because make it make sense, seriously. And she's definitely right. We have to take more care when it comes to our relationships, really. It's looked over too much.
It is. It is. And strong relationships are looked over too much. Like, I'll just throw a random celebrity out there. Ice T and Coco, I believe her name is.
Mm-hmm.
Why they don't get more praise? Like, they're a pretty legit couple.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. It just seems like the people who are embodying the standard are being looked over for the people who project themselves as the standard. And we have to find a way of bringing to light the value of both of those and how much each of those weigh. Because if we're talking like when it comes to society as a whole, I think that, how do I say this? Just the viewpoint and value is the complete opposite of what it should be. It's like we're speaking to just a visual as opposed to, like I said, an embodiment. And I think we need to have that shift as a collective, as a whole, to be able to resonate more with what people are speaking to, what they want and what they desire. Without that subtle shift, obviously it's not easy because you have to be mindful, have to be intentional. But once that shift happens, I think yes, on a smaller scale, the people who do deserve to have that recognition for the embodiment of something will receive that naturally.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to the embodiment and picking it up and putting it down. But Teresa, you're quiet over there. I know you have a lot to say.
Oh, no, we treat relationships as if they were less permanent than jobs. Like, we treat relationships as you can fire them just as easy or more easier than firing at a job, getting fired at a job, And when we shift that mindset, it really would help, change the dynamic of the relationship. It's just like they just said, it's backwards. But a lot of things in society you can say sometimes it's a little backwards, you know what I'm saying? But that's for another topic, another day.
We should do that.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting it. The next episode, maybe returning of 2 co-hosts. We should definitely talk about that for sure. I would love to do that.
There you go.
And I feel like I want to do a whole segment on celebrities who don't get enough clout. And the ones that do. Like everyone's talking about Cardi B leaving her husband. And she's pregnant with the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you people are like, child, leave him. And I bet you that's why she's leaving. And I bet you they're like, oh, pay attention to your business because the money's not going to leave you.
Look, I'm not going to speak on facts because obviously no one knows the actual unfoldments that go on in other people's lives and whatnot. But I will speak to what we're even speaking to is like the progression of conversation. And I think being able to surround yourself with people who don't promote separation. And I'm not just specifically talking about like the relationship or whatever. Like if she decides that she feels like she deserves to move on, then by all means, like do what you deserve,
Right.
what you feel you deserve. But I just want to speak to the process of going through leaving someone for whatever reasons there are, making sure that people do surround themselves with people who have a strong mentality for unity, but not the over identification of that too, because there's also cultures that really like insinuate stay no matter what. And I think that could also be a rebellion response to that as well.
Right.
For
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
So it could either go either way or whatever, but that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Because this Hispanic culture is infamous for telling you to stay, but with no insight on how to
Support or how to do it.
yeah. Yeah.
In a healthy way.
That's when you hear the crickets. Did I just end up in nature
Like, I thought I was around people,
somewhere?
like-minded at that.
But it's interesting. Like we're looking to have conversations of connectivity, and a lot of the mainstream social media is talking about that. Like even supposedly, I didn't go and dive into this, but supposedly J-Lo's leaving Ben.
Yep. Yeah, she filed for divorce. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Who J-Lo is she is bad mama jamma. I will say that. I love.
See, now everyone's gonna say, you see, we was right when he was sitting there with them smug face. But, and this is just me, like just learning how to have a higher conversation about gossip. If you really listen to the conversation that was being had, he was saying that he doesn't like all the paparazzi. He doesn't like all that attention. Well, then, baby, you should have not married J Lo.
Wasn't that why they split the first time?
I think so.
That just speaks to the depth of the love that he probably expressed to having, and he didn't really have the capacity to actually fulfill that.
Yeah,
If that makes
because we've been programmed for this separatism. And that's why I talk a lot of junk about monogamy. Because monogamy brings so much separation. Oh, now that I have your love, you can't give it to no one else. Well, how is a celebrity supposed to digest that when they just got 20 million people to love them? And so these unrealistic uh, choices that we give our partners is still showing, even at the most ultimate level where people are supposed to have the most ultimate level of freedom. And so it speaks to the how important it is for society as a whole to find a better thing to resonate about together, and bringing more balance, because it's just a lot of negative stuff that I see. Like they're talking a lot of crap about the presidential elections, and they're talking crap about Camilla, and I'm just like, I don't see your name on the ballot.
like,
How about we find a way to help her or them or all of us? Just maybe. Just maybe. But at the end of the day, it's what we have, a conversation with ourselves, you know. And that'll be like the last thing. And I think this is like part of the empower tips. What can we do to help empower people that are looking to have more progressive conversations with themselves, but they also have this daunting societal expectations? This is an empowered tip.
Well, you said the words right there. Don't have so much expectations or other people's expectations. The only expectation you should have is for yourself and your standards and how you can reach them. And it's funny, I was going to say to you, when you're in that transition, this is for the new people who are starting their conversational journeys. There is a transition time where you will get backlash. You will get that ricochet. You will get, because you're changing and people don't like the change. They want that old person. They know that old person to be the way they are. And with you changing, there comes changes that they might not like. So just my tip is be prepared for that.
Right.
Don't
People are used to us gossiping in a malice way.
Right. Right. So just be ready for that, and be ready to be able to speak your sounds, and not expect a positive reaction all the time, because what's important is what you're putting out, not necessarily what they're receiving. What they're receiving is their choice. So just be prepared for that in that conversation. That's one big thing I learned. You can't make someone receive something other than how they're going to receive it. That's my tip.
Yeah, you definitely can't.
I think my empowerment tip, I believe observing is very like overlooked. Once you decide that you want to shift something, whether it's yourself, whether it's your way of thinking, or your paradigm as a whole, like it just depends on how radical you want to be. I feel like observing and really being mindful of that can really help you flow easier, because I feel like people think they have to make these loud changes, and also receive loud feedback. But if you're in an observing space, you'll automatically start connecting with the more subtle sounds that are more in alignment with your intuition. Um, and that highlights your next steps. And you don't have to kind of like be, how do I say this? So scared to make these different shifts. And so scared that of the backlash that you'll get from, your family members, your loved ones, your other, like your job. I just feel like the most empowering thing you can do is just sit back and observe, once you've made a decision, and really feel um, those different fluctuations of energy that you're receiving in those different spaces. And whatever more so aligns with the subtlety and the of your intuition is your path to move forward on, and what resonates with you as opposed to what doesn't.
Yeah. I think those little shifts that you were speaking to can be the most radical. Sometimes I'll give you an example of a 3D example. There was a shelf in my closet. I just moved it a different way, and that totally shifted the way I organized my closet. So I think sometimes the smallest little changes can be absolutely the most radical, for sure. So don't expect big changes. Start with the small ones, and those are the most radical, I think. Yeah.
Small. And we mean small, okay? We're not over exaggerating. And the the quality of what small can bring you, okay? They always say small hinges swing big doors. So just remember that. Small hinges swing big doors. And to be able to be empowered, I feel like that's a tip that would be like really progressive, because we've been doing empowered tips for all of the lifespan of EM healing, and so this is probably the best time to bring a forward conversation about being empowered. It's very important to empower ourselves, right? Because power is everything. You're not going to get far if you don't charge your phone. It will be out of power. And so that's what, for empowerment is what chargers are for cell phones. Empowerment is for us. It keeps us fueled, it keeps us ignited, it keeps us electric. And when we're electric, that means that we can light up not just ourselves, but each other. And people can feel more of what's happening indirectly, directly. We give people an opportunity to brighten up a little bit more, to lighten up a little bit more, to not see things so daunting. That is the power of being empowered for yourself. And so if you're looking for something that you can embody first, and instead of making it an added feature, embody your empowerment. Really see how these tips can shift your life. As a life and health coach, spiritual coach, I stand by my most important analysis is all you have to do is change 1% of yourself, and the dynamic shift that you will meet will be phenomenal and bizarre at the same time, that you cannot observe it and believe it. That's how real empowerment is. It becomes an embedded feature that you're like, there's no way that this can't not happen anymore for me. That's my empowerment. Learn what words really mean and utilize them to the best of your abilities. You're going to get a lot further than trying to have a conversation with someone else about their belief system on what a word is. You can have the conversation, but I wouldn't take a conversation to base off a definition, because conversations are of perceptional space, and we need to learn how to perceive and what grains of salt of someone else's perception, unless they're important enough for you to be able to make it a mountain of salt. Okay? That's what I've got. That's what we've got. How's everybody feeling? Ladies, this has been an amazing conversation.
I feel complete.
Yay. So please share with the community how they can find you if you want them to tune in more and find out how you're living your journey.
You can definitely find me in the safe space. I'll be definitely there. Safe space group.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna read it out for you guys. It's gonna be at DDAEEEE. So it says day. It is 4 E's. I know it's extra, but I was definitely looking to have day by any means necessary. And also, I've created another Instagram because I am looking to create my own podcast, create my own spiritual outreach through my gifts that I have. So that at is going to be crowned free underscore. Crowned free underscore. So that's where you can find. And also on the safe space too. Come through.
So are you going to have us on your show? And when can we expect that recording to happen?
Oh my goodness. We
You
can
need to
definitely
see it before the year is up.
I feel like I can do that. I've definitely been receiving a whole lot more energy towards creating it. So stay tuned though, for sure. It will be before the end of the year, for sure. The first episode will be uploaded. So yeah, can't wait.
I am excited. So to close it out, for those of you that are looking to deepen your conversation and get a wider understanding of how you can show up in your healing journey, you can tap into more of our episodes. We have a plethora of different individuals sharing their story, sharing how you can get more effective in progressing in your journey. And if you want to hear more about the safe space, you can definitely check all that information down below, get a discovery session, My link tree is in the bottom. Check us out. We greatly appreciate it. EM Healing is here to help you expand the conversation, one conversation at a time. Thank you to all my healers out there.
Love.